Hey, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and today I am taking a close look at the TeckWrapCraft matte adhesive vinyl. Now, TeckWrapCraft did ask me to do the review, and they sent me all of these lovely products to do so. I have not been paid, and I was not asked to do an only positive review. So if you've watched any of my other review videos, you know that I can be brutal when things go wrong. So there were no limitations put on me by TeckWrapCraft. They just wanted me to use their product and let you know how it actually works. So I swear to God, I'm being honest. But let's take a look at what they sent, because they sent me quite a bit of very nice stuff. Now, as I mentioned, this is matte adhesive vinyl. That's kind of unusual because matte adhesive vinyl I think is pretty easy to find in black and white, at least in my experience, but not in a wide variety of colors. And TeckWrapCraft actually has 21 colors available plus black and white, so 23 total. Pretty nice. And they come wrapped like so in a nice plastic wrapping on a roll, and with this nice label. And then it also tells you what the color is down at the bottom, and there is a nice little note reminding you that there is a protective layer on this vinyl. And that's kind of interesting because most vinyl doesn't come with a protective layer, and that actually helps to protect the vinyl in shipping and while you're storing it. So I think that's really nice. It also comes with these reusable stickers to keep your rolls together. And when you first pull the sticker off, it's going to kind of have lightened up part of the vinyl here, and you're going to think, oh, it's damaged. But no, that's just the protective layer that you do need to remove before you cut the vinyl. And we will get into that a little bit later in the video. Now, I'm going to be making some decals for my Cricut Joy with this vinyl today. So we'll get into that cute project in a little bit and actually see how it all works. And I'm also going to use the tools that they provided me. If you are an email subscriber of mine, you may already realize that 3 of these are what I consider essential tools for any electronic cutting machine crafter. The first one is this, what I call a pin pen, but it's also, they call it a weeding pen. And you'll see that it's like a ballpoint pen, and that you push this end and the needle, sort of very sharp pointy needle, comes out. And when you push it again, it retracts to keep it safe. And that helps you weed vinyl, like pull vinyl away that you don't need from its backing sheet. And I love these way more than just a regular like weeding hook. And then the extra fun thing about this one is that it's all glittery and blinged up. And it's rose gold, so that's way better than the one I already have that's just plain and boring. Now, this is kind of a chunky glitter, so you might be concerned that that's going to bother your fingers. I have not had that problem at all using this, but if you think that might bother you, they do have several other options that do not have the chunky glitter on them, but have fun colors and patterns, so it's definitely worth checking out. And it also came with an extra needle for when my needle gets dull, so that's nice. Reusable. My second essential tool is a sharp like a really pointy tweezers, and this has a really nice sharp point on it, or points I guess I should say, and that I think is super important. I use this for paper, vinyl, all kinds of stuff. I have a different one that I've been using for years, and I absolutely love it and would be lost without it. But again, this one is super fun because it's got this awesome, like, sort of rainbow ombre effect of kind of a magenta into blue, which is really, really fun. And it comes with a protective tip for the pointy, sharp pointy tips. And then it comes with a little case that you can put it in. So that's really nice. The last essential tool that they sent me is a scraper slash squeegee. I call this a squeegee for the most part. And the thing I like about this design is it has a little bit of a give to it. As you can see there, I mean, it's not a lot, but it's a little bit. And then it has a really nice ergonomic design in that these raised portions in the middle make it easy to grip and hold while you are burnishing things down. I do think it's important for your scraper slash squeegee to have some give to it as you are putting paper or vinyl onto the mat, or using transfer tape over your vinyl pieces, or transferring your vinyl to whatever surface you're putting on. I like the little bit of give. I think that's important. The Cricut scraper, which I also own, is really, really stiff. So I have a harder time using that one and prefer these ones that have some give to them. So I will be using all of these tools today so you can see how they work in action. I also wanted to mention that they sent me this really cute opal finished case that all of the tools fit in. It has a really nice zipper top, and it's nice and thin and compact, so it keeps all your tools together in one spot. It makes it really, really easy to find them and keep them all together. And that goes right in here as well. Zips closed. Really, really convenient way to store your tools. Finally, I did want to mention that they sent me their version of the Cricut Strong Grip mat. They call it the Strong Tack mat. I am not using this today, but I will use this on a project in April, so look for that. But having used it, I know that it works really, really well. It works totally fine in your Cricut machine. It probably would also work in a Silhouette machine, would be my guess too. And they additionally have the standard and light grip, light tech versions of this as well that come in a nice kit. So definitely worth checking out. All of this is available on the TeckWrapCraft website, as well as linked in the video description if you're interested. Let's get to using this cool matte adhesive vinyl. I'm in Cricut Design Space really briefly just to show you the flower decals that I'm going to be cutting with my Cricut Joy to put onto my Joy as decorations, and these are going to be cut out of the matte vinyl. I did want to show you really quick that I used this file over here of these 9 flowers from Creative Fabrica, and I'll have that linked in the video description if you're interested in them. But however, I did not use all of them, as you probably can tell. And I did have to do a few modifications to them to get them like so. So really quickly, I want to just show you which flowers I used and briefly what I did with them. So let me get rid of the ones I did not use. So I only used these 4 flowers from the original CreativeFabrica.com file. And I did make some modifications. You can tell that I changed the sizing. I shrank them and I enlarged them. I made some changes to the centers, like I have a solid center on some and the cutout center on another one. I did add an offset to these 2 flowers. So that involved a little bit of welding and some different layer changes. And then I actually resized one of the leaves from this flower to create these other leaves that I then sliced along the edge of the offsets so that they fit right in there. I'm not going to go into all the details on how I did that in today's video tutorial, but if you are interested in seeing step by step how I modified the original flowers to get them to this point, there is a video available on my blog with this post that you could check out for those specific instructions. And finally, in Cricut Design Space, I wanted to show you what material you should set your base material to in order to cut the TeckWrapCraft matte vinyl. If you go into Browse All Materials, this list is going to change depending on the machine you use, but the setting will not. So this worked for the Joy and the Maker, and it should also work for the Cricut Explore Air machines as well. So you are going to choose premium vinyl under the vinyl section. Don't go with any of the, textured pearl holographic other choices. Just do the plain premium vinyl and hit done. You can leave your pressure on default, and that is all you need to do. I had beautiful cuts with that setting with both the Joy and the Maker. Okay, so now let's head on over to a little bit about the cutting and then the weeding of this great vinyl. I'm not going to show you much of the cutting process really, but I did want to remind you that the matte adhesive vinyl does have a protective coating on it, like a sheet, that you need to remove before you actually cut it. And It's a little tricky. I usually take a corner, and this is where the pin pen comes in handy. And I'm going to just try to very lightly get a hold of that protective film. Okay. And then I'm just going to peel it off. And it comes off really easily once you get a corner started. And then I'm just going to stick this down on my standard grip Cricut Joy mat. This is the livable green color. I'm gonna just burnish it down with the squeegee, feed it into my Cricut Joy, and go from there. Okay, so I've cut everything, and for the most part I have weeded everything, and I'll be honest, this has been super easy to weed, and it cut really nicely. I did want to show you, these are the flowers with the polka dots in them, that the polka dots have sort of started to self-weed. So be careful of that, because, which is, I mean, it's nice because that means you don't have to do as much work to weed it, but be careful because you can lose pieces that you might need. And that's what happened to me with my leaves here. I lost this one. I mean, it was partially my fault because, you know, it just fell off and I didn't even think about it, and I just, you know, tossed it away. So that can happen, you know, if you want to keep really small pieces. These we're getting rid of, so it's not that big a deal, but I just wanted to point that out, that on that cut setting, it cuts absolutely perfectly. It's amazing. But this can happen. All right, so to weed this, which is basically, if you're not familiar with it, it means pulling away the pieces of vinyl that you don't need. I'm going to try to get the corner started. So I like to bend the corner, obviously not anywhere that it's cut with a pattern. And then sometimes using the pin pen to try to pick up the corner. There we go. Works really well. And then for the larger piece, it just peels right off because it cuts so well. So there you go. And that's super easy. And then the little pieces can be a little bit trickier. So I'm going to take out the bigger centers. And I'm just kind of poking the pin pen into the parts that I'm going to remove. It will make a hole, so you want to be careful to not poke it into anything that you're keeping. So you can see already it weeds absolutely beautifully. And I'm using the tweezers to pull these little pieces off. I find that it's a little bit easier. Okay, so I think you got the idea of how easy it is to weed this, because look at how this is just coming right out. And this tweezers is great because it's super pointy. So I can just grab these little pieces and pull them right out. No problem. So I have all of my flowers weeded, the leaves, etc., polka dots are all weeded out. And so the next step now is to layer the pieces of vinyl that get layered together. So that would be these center pieces are going to go onto some of the white flowers and some of the pink flowers. So to do that, you need transfer tape. So I'm going to be using this clear transfer tape, and I will cut the piece of transfer tape down to about the size of the pieces of vinyl that it needs to cover, and then burnish it onto the centers, and then we're going to transfer the centers to the flowers. So to do this, I'm going to fold back the corner of my transfer tape, and I need to separate the backing from the cover sheet, or the tape itself. Okay. And then I just fold back like a small portion of the tape, and then I'm going to set it down onto the end of the piece that I'm covering and press it onto that first part. So I'm not getting any air bubbles in there. I'm just pressing it and rubbing it down. Then I'm going to take my squeegee and I'm just going to push. And you can see that the backing paper just comes right off. And then I'm going to burnish down over the centers really well with the squeegee to get it nicely onto those centers. So I'm going to trim these down and then I'm going to cut them apart. Okay, so I have all the centers cut apart here. And so now we need to line up the centers with the flowers that they go on. So this time I'm going to peel the backing sheet off and leave the vinyl piece on the transfer tape. And now this goes in the middle of this guy. So luckily I don't have to be too precise. I'm just going to place them down and just burnish them again with the squeegee. And then I just peel off the backing tape. So now we have our layered flower. And so then when we'll put transfer tape over this again and transfer it again, but it'll be 2 layers and it's just easier to do it that way. And I'm just going to repeat the same process for the rest of the flowers. I got my picture here of how I wanted these arranged. So I know that I'm going to put this flower, this white flower, is going to be kind of over here. So I'm going to turn my machine. I'm going to peel my backing paper off the vinyl. So it's basically just like what we did with the centers, but this time I'm going to actually put it down on the machine. And because this is small, I'm not too worried about air bubbles, but I am trying to press in the center first and then pushing out to the sides, just because it's a slightly curved surface. Oh, and so there's a piece where the vinyl wants to keep coming up, so I'm just going to push it down again with the squeegee. And just keep an eye out, make sure that the edges stay down. And there we go. And now I'm going to try to line up the leaves. So obviously before I press it down, I want to make sure I've got them all kind of in the right place and that they're not overlapping the white at all, which they're not. Again, luckily this is a fairly casual design, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, I've got this pillowcase that's kind of propped up under the back side of the Joy because it's not flat. And now I'm going to place the flower onto the offset. So this is going to get a little bit trickier. Okay, so overall, what is my impression of the TeckWrapCraft matte adhesive vinyl? Well, you probably can tell already from the project that I thought it was pretty awesome. I love the way this turned out. I think it is super, super cute. So I hope you will go out and make your own fun decals for your Cricut Joy, just like I did. The vinyl itself was really easy to cut. It cut beautifully. It was super easy to weed. As you saw me doing both processes, it was great. I had no problem with it doing even the tiniest little cuts. So pretty awesome. I also think it's phenomenal that they have such a wide choice of matte vinyl colors. So I definitely think you should check that out. As far as the tools go, they were great. They worked really well. You saw me using them, so I have no complaints about these. And I will say that I love the sort of blingy factor of the weeding pen really, really fun and cute, as well as the fun rainbow ombre of my tweezers. And I like the storage kit that the tweezers comes in. The squeegee is like perfect as far as the give. I mentioned that earlier. And I like the little storage tote that it all comes in and stores really nicely and compactly. So honestly, I have nothing bad to say. I think it's a really, really high quality product. It comes in 5 foot, 10 foot, and I think longer rolls. So if you're looking for quite a fairly decent quantity of matte vinyl, it's a great, great selection. So please, I hope you check it out. And the tools, I think, are absolutely essential for anybody who's got an electronic cutting machine. These 3 tools, as well as a couple others that I mentioned with my email list, are really great for making your projects faster and easier. So I would definitely take a look at those as well. All right, so that's it for the project today, and I hope you got something out of it. And if you did, I would really appreciate it if you could give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Comments and thumbs up help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and that helps promote my channel, and I really appreciate that. If you are interested in learning about other craft products as well as how to use your electronic cutting machines, please consider subscribing to my channel as well. I would really love that. Thank you so much. Have a great day.